welcome. Jordan, how we doing?
Good, mate. Very, very good.
Good. Steve?
Right, feeling good, man. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. I think when we say Steve, we're going to need to put like Stefan on screen every time.
Just keep changing the spelling it, but Stefan.
Stefan. Welcome everyone. If you're watching, hopefully we're at 2 or 3 audience members by this point. Welcome to Mates, Movies and Malts. This week's episode we're going to be chatting about Halloween, spooky stuff, scary stuff.
Yep.
You guys are bigger fans of it than I am.
Yes, horror's probably my favourite genre.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to this spectacular episode.
I love stuff like spectacular. It's so original.
It really is.
I love it, man.
Never heard that one before, man. Well done. Should patent that. No, I really like horror movies as well, but I think it's such a wide genre that we're going to love it for very different reasons.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I'm looking forward to hearing everybody's top fives.
Yeah, man, it's going to be good fun. So, listen, we'll get right in about it. But for people that's new to the podcast, this is the podcast where we talk about movies, geeky stuff. We drink a wee whiskey. We generally talk shite. And mainly we're doing it because we like each other and we like talking to each other about shite.
I'm starting to grow to like you. Only took 18
years in.
Just starting to feel a family.
No, my family. But this week we're basically what we've done. We're going to have the launch episode out soon, and then we're actually not planning on launching everything properly until kind of the turn of the year, Christmas time.
Yeah.
But we thought Halloween, really good time of year to maybe launch a little bit of a sneak preview.
Yeah.
So who knows what order stuff's going to be in? Who knows how good we are at this point?
We know what order stuff's going to be in. We don't know how good we are, but we know what order it's going to be.
See, I don't, because I don't do any of the editing. But yeah, so no, listen guys, what we're going to do, we're going to chat this week. I've kind of put in a little bit of structure, which I don't know why we gave me Halloween when it's my least favourite genre, the horror stuff.
To make you like it.
Well, I mean, listen, there are highlights, there are pieces that I love and we will discuss, but I think on a previous future episode, we were chatting about, you raised a question, Stefan, about the genre that you would give the most leeway to.
Yeah.
Both of you guys said horror.
Yeah.
And mine, that was my least lenient one. So give me a bit of insight then. Stefan, let's start with you. What horror movies, what is it you love about them so much? What do horror movies mean to you?
I don't know that it's necessarily just what they mean to me, but I love horror movies. My favourite thing about horror movies, probably the best way to explain this, very often is just ambience and suspense.
What
just
a word.
The ambience.
So French, man.
Just the setup very often for horror movies is going to be so much more satisfying. Makes the payoff that much more satisfying. When it's like a really good setup, when that sense of dread has really been allowed time to just kind of like build up, and then it's really hard to describe this without like going into like actual examples.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just use one. It's not one of my top fives or anything like that, but it was one I was thinking of when we were originally discussing what makes great horror movies. I immediately started thinking of the movies that have got very little dialogue, that rely on show don't tell. So a couple examples. Hush. Either you've seen Hush.
Yeah.
Very good film, but also very recent. No One Will Save You, which is the alien one. Very good movie. There is one sentence I think in that entire movie, and it's just purely built on music and just slowly building tension.
See, to me that sounds like a bit of a life sentence.
Really?
Like a full film with one line of dialogue.
When you talk about music, for me, music really makes a horror film. I love really tense, anxiety building music.
Mm-hmm.
You think there's going to be a jump scare at the end of it, and then there's nothing. And then maybe about 30 seconds later, when you start to calm down, boom, something's right out in front of you.
Yeah.
And you're questioning, should a fart have lumps in it or not?
And what is it, Jordan, that makes horror your favourite genre?
I don't know, I think it's just the mindless violence. I really enjoy it.
You relate?
No, not that I relate. It's just horror, you can really kind of do what you want. But don't get me wrong, I don't love the whole let's go right over the top shock horror value, but just the fear of holy shit, that could be happening in my street. I could be next. Like that type of thing. But I just like horror. It gets the heart rate going.
See, since you mentioned jump scares though, how do you feel? Because I feel like a lot of the times jump scares can be quite lazy in horror movies. So 1 or 2 or something is like my max. in a movie.
So you've actually stumbled upon a key word for me in the genre, and it's lazy. I think that for the most part, most horror movies are lazy. They rely on the same things, the same techniques to try and make. Like, I think 90% of horror is practically interchangeable. Right. What I would say is that the really good examples are amongst some of the best films ever made. So I think when you get it right, it can be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's the genre that has the highest percentage of misses and stuff that's just like, right, okay, this again. Right, you schlock horror, just how many creative ways can we think to kill this person and dismember them and whatever else?
I think a part of the reason why there's so much like crap when it comes to horror movies is because a lot of the time they seem to be the cheapest ones to make. I mean, like the Paranormal Activity franchise itself, like nothing happens in those. It's just like CCTV footage, and they made stupid money, and it just felt like it's inspired.
Yeah.
Well, there was one out recently. It was set in like a quote unquote mental asylum, and it was filmed on an iPhone. But the full thing was just.
I saw that actually. I didn't see the film, but I remember that.
Very, very low budget. It's
like some podcasts.
Not this one though.
No, not at all. This is, to be fair, being filmed on a pretty industrial strength camera. It's the mics that we have issues with.
Just not on camera.
Industrial strength camera. It's for goosebumps.
That's the horror
Say
week.
cheese and die.
So listen, guys, let's move on then. The genre for me, as I say, like, listen, there are real key highlights for me. The challenge I had when we were doing our prep for this week was being able to pick out things that genuinely fit. Like, what makes a horror movie? Do you know what I mean? What does it venture into being a thriller if it's not got enough jump scares in it or whatever else? But I'm very, very interested to hear it. So, very brief agenda. We're going to chat about each of our individual top 5 horror / Halloween / those types of movies, slashers.
Slash.
And then we're going to chat about what we think of the top 5 scary scenes, kills, jump scares, whatever else. And yeah, I think what the whole game plan I had in my mind was effectively to be able to put together a Mates, Malts and Movies
Top 5.
top 5, even though that's not the name of the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mates, Movies and Malts top 5. Yeah. What do you think the odds are that we've probably got some overlap here?
I think there's a chance, because
I think there's a chance. I think you'll know one of my top 5, so I talk about it every fucking week.
I think I've got one that I'll be surprised if neither of you have got.
Okay.
If not both of you.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Before we change topics, is there anything else that you believe makes a good horror film? So we spoke about music, you spoke about
Atmosphere. Ambience.
Anything else? What about for you, Pedro?
For me, it's the same as every other genre. For me, it's the story that it tells.
Yeah.
Right? And as I say, if it feels lazy, if it feels predictable, I'm just like, right, why am I wasting my time? Right? But when they get it right, or there is something that's genuinely surprising that you genuinely don't expect, it is up there with the best experience you can have in a cinema. Do you know what I mean? So I think that the general overall story, the characters, massive. How much you relate to the
thing, a likeable main character.
Characters are mine. A likeable main character and a real understandable and believable threat. Like, even if you get into the real fantastical stuff, like, I'll use an example, Halloween, Mike Myers, like, as daft as it's very much grounded in reality. It's just an evil bastard with a bit of supernatural.
Michael Myers, he's one of my examples. I love an unstoppable villain in a Halloween film. Yeah. Like, no matter how many times they get shot, stabbed, beat. Jason, Michael Myers, a prime example. You get to the end, they think they've got him beaten.
Yeah.
The camera pans back round and he's gone. Like,
that is good. That is good.
Love it.
So listen, let's talk about our top 5s then. So Jordan, let's start with yourself. What do you think we should do? Should we just list the top 5? Should we give an example each?
We'll go round. So we'll do round robin. So my first, probably my favourite horror film of all time is Scream 1.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. I love the whole franchise. We threw a wee bit of a rocky spell with 5 and 6. We don't know what's happening with 7 yet. But Scream 1 for me is just, it's up there. It's one
fantastic.
of my go-to films. Great story. It's a lot of overacting, but I am all in for it. It's one of my favourite films of all time.
Yeah, your comfort movie.
Yes, hungover, sad, feeling stabby. Let's put Scream on.
I think one of the cool things about Scream is it's one of the ones that really does kind of subvert the genre. Right, and they did, like, they took the book, so they tricked out the book of one of mine from later on, where every bit of marketing around Scream was all around about Drew Barrymore, because she's obviously at the peak of her career at this point and whatever else. And then, spoiler alert for what was it, 28-year-old movie, 1996?
1996, aye. And she took a pay cut to win that film as well. They wanted her to be the main character.
Yeah.
She was going to cost too much, but she loved it. So
Aye.
I'll do a wee bit for pretty much nothing.
Exactly.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's also based on a true story of murders that happened in Florida in the early 90s.
I didn't actually know that.
Yeah.
There you go.
Very loosely based on that, but
Was it?
it's based on
The guy running about with a ghost face mask on.
Aye.
Scream's a great movie, man. It's a classic.
Great choice.
What about you?
I'm not in any particular order, but probably if I'm like you've went with your favourite, my favourite horror movie of all time, and it's very, very predictable, it's The Shining. I don't think it gets better. I think it crosses over from being just one of the best horror, and again it's another one that there are real horror elements.
Yeah.
But
As
again,
long as
there's
you're
a
scared.
thriller
As
feel
long
to
as
it.
you feel scared.
Aye, unnerved and unsettled for me. I think that feeling of tension and dread is far more entertaining and leads up to a better payoff than just a big loud noise and gives you a fright for 2 seconds. Do you know what I mean? So The Shining for me is one of the best performances of all time. Shelley Duvall's amazing in it. But I just love it from start to finish. Like, everything is all about unsettling you and watching this man
It's a slow descent into madness.
unravel. And then an honourable mention, which I've not even put on my list, but did you guys a few years ago when it came out watch Doctor Sleep, the sequel?
Yes.
It was brilliant.
Ewan McGregor.
Aye, it was
I really enjoyed
it. And it just totally
It
flew under the
really
radar.
expanded the universe a wee bit.
Aye,
as well.
it was really good. And Rebecca
really good.
Ferguson was amazing in it. Ewan McGregor, I think, is wildly underrated in a lot of stuff. But honestly, if you've not seen it, it's really good. It
Did
holds
it come
up.
out at a bad time or something?
Halloween.
Or was it?
No, it came out in the cinema. It was a full release and stuff.
Aye.
It was really good.
Although in terms of bad time, I think it was 2019.
I was going to ask whether or not it was affected by COVID.
It might have, if it was 2020, it would definitely have been hit by that. But no, I think it was before COVID, because Kirsten and I, every Halloween, to avoid having to sit in and have the door chapped all night, we usually go to the cinema. We'll go for a curry and then we'll go to the cinema and watch whatever scary movie's out. And we went and saw Doctor Sleep. It was brilliant. I was so impressed
I
with it.
really enjoyed it.
Loved
I
it.
might watch it then.
It was really good, honestly. Steve? Favourite?
Yeah, so I'm just going to go with a classic. I went with Alien. Again, not
That's the first
necessarily
one that's
my
on
favourite
on another
or
list.
the best.
It's on another list.
Yeah, I
On all
knew
three.
That was the one that I knew was going to be. Just an absolutely incredible
Tremendous
movie. Stood the test of time. Launched a fantastic franchise.
Came out at the right time as well. It really shook things up.
Yeah.
I don't want to say too much because when we get to our favourite scenes, I'm going to mention
pretty sure
one
we've
of
all
them
got
as
the same
well.
one.
I think
Maybe
so.
all the
Good
same one
chance.
anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, just a fantastic film.
I mean, without a shadow of a doubt, like, it's a phenomenal film, phenomenal franchise. I even enjoy very much so Prometheus and what was the one that followed up, Covenant. But I actually can't remember if it was only recently that I heard the thing about Ridley Scott talking about Sigourney Weaver refusing to tidy up her nether regions. Have you ever heard about this?
No, I've not heard of this.
And they had
She's a fanny out much in that.
well, no, but remember the whole scene at the start where she's
aye,
getting into the cryopod and everything like that, right? And they had to literally individually like paint
Get them out.
on every single individual hair, and they said it cost thousands and thousands of dollars because Sigourney Weaver refused to shave. I know, it actually makes me respect her more. But that's my most interesting fact about Alien.
No, the one that I always liked was, I can't remember the character's name, but there was one character that Ridley Scott told, the actor that Ridley Scott told, can you come in just a little bit early on all of your lines if you're coming in after Sigourney Weaver? And it was just to try and piss her off a wee bit on the takes. It was just to get like a certain type of reaction.
I wonder who
out
that
of it.
was.
I can't remember which
I heard that.
which actor it was, but no, I remember seeing that just in a random wee video I stumbled upon on TikTok. It was fun. That's a fun fact. I thought it was cool.
I think I'm pretty straightforward there. One there, if we've all got that on our list, that's obviously on the Mates Movies and Malts list.
I think I'll probably make it on the top.
It's hardly revolutionary, is it? But there's a reason. It's phenomenal.
Don't need to reinvent the wheel. We're top 5 right now.
Did you guys, or have you guys yet seen Romulus?
I've not seen it yet.
No, I'm desperate to see it though.
Brilliant.
Is it?
Utterly,
Yeah, I'm sure.
it's the best film in the franchise since Aliens.
It kind of feels a bit like a requel.
Aye, it's like, you know, all these legacy sequels that are coming out, right? Like we talk about Star Wars quite a lot, and we no doubt will again in future. when Force Awakens came out, everybody loved it, and then when people want to find something to moan about, oh, it's just a New Hope again, right? And then when people make something that's not a New Hope, like The Last Jedi, they all moan that it's not like a New Hope, right? This is about as flawless an example of a legacy sequel of any franchise as you'll ever see, because it takes so many of the really good aspects of the original. It makes the Xenomorph really scary again, right? Which has not been for a long time, right? But it's different and it's fresh, so it's a lot of the same beats. It's a similar movie. It's trapped in a confined space with an alien, right, or multiple or whatever else. Not going to put any spoilers on because it's new and you guys haven't seen it. But it's honestly absolutely brilliant. And I wish I could remember the guy's name that plays the android in it. I can't remember his name. He is phenomenal. Like I wouldn't be disappointed if he got an Oscar for it. He's that good in this film.
That's high praise on.
Honestly, so good, man.
I'll look forward to it. Well, I mean, I was already looking forward to seeing it. But I
went and saw it twice. Like it's so good, so good.
Amazing.
Aye.
Where was it ending? For either one?
Well, I didn't want you to come.
Right,
but I know it's honestly Romulus is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So we went and saw it the first time, and I saw it with Kirsten, and it was equally as good the second time. Most astonishing looking alien movie for a long time, just brilliant from start to finish.
Nice. So next, I'm just doing these in the order that I've put them in. Was a film from 2001 with Johnny Depp and Ian Holm. It was called From Hell. Based on Jack the Ripper. Heather Graham was in it as well.
Yeah.
So it was the story was that Ian Holm was actually, or his character, who was a physician to the royal family, was actually Jack the Ripper. And there was like a scene where he's boiling hearts and kettles and stuff like that. It was a fucking great film.
I've seen that film a few
times. I saw it back in the day.
I've
so
seen
good.
that a bunch of times. It's really good. Johnny Depp's brilliant in it.
It's amazing in it.
Funnily enough,
Ian Holm's great in it. Everyone's great in it. It's really good film.
There's no bad performances in that film at all.
When you said Johnny Depp, I was very, very close to talking about Sleepy Hollow tonight as well, which was a really good one.
That was good.
But no, From Hell was really good. I remember that.
Really good film.
Top 5 all time.
I'm putting in my top 5. I've went a bit rogue tonight. Normally I would just stick with Scream Final Destination, but I'm pushing myself a wee bit.
Mine's are slightly off as well, but just on, because you brought up From Hell, one of the tropes that really kind of is very hit or miss for me with horror films is when they don't have like a particularly good ending. Sometimes I feel like that can hurt it. From Hell there, it's bittersweet, I would call that one, just with how they leave it at the end.
I'm trying to remember it. I literally watched it when it was out. I don't think I've ever watched it again.
So the end of the movie is 2001.
I think they're all right. If I'd have spoiled Romulus, fair enough.
No spoilers, guys, for a 23-year-old film.
That's fine. At the end of that movie, Heather Graham's character does survive, but they don't end up together because he knows if he goes and finds her, they're watching him. They'll get her.
There's a special branch.
They'll get her. So he basically just has to live his life, just kind of keeping an eye on them.
I mean, considering it was Heather Graham that was in it, he should have just went and let him find her.
I think The Raven kind of took
2001 Heather Graham.
The Raven, the Edgar Allan Poe film. It was
that John
Cusack.
I never watched it.
That was a really good film as well, by the way. I think that took some of the beats from Hell and put that in it. It felt a bit like the same film. Just
never saw it.
It's good film.
I think if it, like, because the chances are maybe like From Hell was probably quite heavily inspired by the Edgar Allan Poe poem then.
Possibly.
Because obviously that's been there. What was that? Maybe, I don't know, 150 years old or something like that. Because I've read the poem at one point, I'm sure, or a book, a novelisation of the poem or something. But I'd forgotten that even existed, the John Cusack film.
There's been a recent Edgar Allan Poe thing with Christian Bale, was there not? I never watched that. Did you see it?
No.
Probably shouldn't bring it up then.
No.
No,
you went often?
I think just a lot of stories about him not being a very nice guy.
No, that's a shame.
I mean, I should find out if he's on the Diddy list.
No.
Like, is it just being hard to work with?
Just shouts
at screaming at folk and stuff like that.
Shoulders and stuff like that.
I mean, I heard that one, but I was on Christian Bale, so.
Let's go with a proper all-time classic. Again, nothing revolutionary here, guys. Jaws. Jaws, every step of the day.
Yep,
every minute of the week. Every saucepan of the moon. No, look, Jaws, again, similar to Alien. It does it really get much better as an all-round movie than Jaws? It's a perfect movie.
It is a really
And
good
for the effect that it had on everyone, just that whole thing of
No
afraid
one
to
in
go
the water.
back into the water.
Yeah.
Everyone was
Terrifying, man.
I was scared to go to time capsule. Just in case.
Wrong time for sharks.
Imagine
Chlorine
what
shark.
that movie did to tourism. Like, nobody wanted to go on a beach holiday.
Especially in
after
Amity Island.
The mayor wasn't giving a fuck, but
No, he was happy.
wasn't
he
bothered.
needed that money. It's the music in Jaws, but the music really
Take the
Yeah.
words out of my mouth. And for me, like, and no doubt I'm sure we will, because you guys are obviously, you're highlighting music in the horror genre. For me, music makes every film that it's in. And I think that Jaws, as much as like all the iconic stuff that John Williams has done, right, and obviously Jaws is iconic, but you think Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Superman, Harry Potter, like the list is quite long. Jaws is the thing that makes him the best ever. He took 2 notes and he made the most iconic movie score of all time.
Yeah.
And he made it's the music that makes the shark scary.
Yeah. Well,
What
yeah,
other film?
because as soon as you see it, like, no, that thing
It's
that's
terrible.
shite. But it's
But
the music.
And that's another great thing just about the cinematography of it all, just restricting how much of the shark you got
And
to
you just
see.
see-
Right, that's
yeah.
the best thing in pretty much. You said it earlier on, show don't tell.
Yeah.
In actual fact, if you cannot show and tell,
Aye.
like in horror, the things that have always been scariest, and the reason that the dark is something that you're always scared of as a child is because you can't see. And the fact that they did that and they mastered it, every single horror movie relies on that trope.
Yeah.
I know,
Everyone.
Because there's a lot of horror movies that suffer as soon as they introduce the monster. I think one of them that kind of suffers from it is Signs. I thought
100%.
Signs was really,
Brilliant.
really scary until we saw it.
Yeah,
As soon as you saw the alien, it's just like, no.
totally agree.
There's ones that done it really well, is Cloverfield, that you only saw wee snippets
Yes.
of the monster
Yeah,
here and there.
Cloverfield was great. I forgot about
Until
Cloverfield.
you kind of get to the underground and you see the wee ones that scurry about, but the actual big one, you only see a tentacle here and there, and you don't really ever see what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
And
I mean, we've
that's
already
what
talked
added.
about Alien and the actual xenomorphs. It's always much more creepy and scary and stuff like that when it's like slithering and it feels insidious. And then when you just see the big thing, it still looks amazing, but it's far less impactful.
The clicking noise that it makes as well.
Yeah.
It's so good, man. But Jaws, and for anybody that's not seen it, stealing a line for Billy Connolly, for anybody that's not seen Jaws, it's about a shark that plays the cello.
Do you know what the animatronic shark was called in Jaws?
Bruce.
And that's why Bruce, we find the Nemo was named Bruce.
Hello, my name's Bruce. I never knew my father. I love that. It's one of my favourite lines of all time, largely because I never knew my father.
Evil Dead 2.
It's not on
It's
my
a
list,
good
but
shout, but I didn't put it on.
I absolutely love it. And then I know that you start getting away from just out and out horror and you start teetering into like the horror comedy thing, but I think Evil Dead 3 leans, like Army of Darkness, that leans more into comedy, where I think Evil Dead 2 is still a horror film.
Yeah.
And I love it so much.
Phenomenal film.
Yeah, one of the horror movies that's better than the original. It's not really a sequel because it doesn't properly take off from Evil Dead 1. It's more
And the
a
first
remake.
one is more in the original genre.
Yeah.
The Evil Dead 2, for the same reason as why I didn't include Shaun of the Dead. And Shaun of the Dead's out and out comedy.
Shaun of the Dead nearly made my list. It's definitely in yours with that face.
There we go.
It's one of the ones I was going to
the
ask.
scenes
I'm going
there,
to.
It was so close.
I know. I've got some. I'm asking for some leeway.
I
on
would
my
say
fifth
Shaun of the
choice.
Dead is a horror film because it is a
okay.
zombie film. That's what it's all about. It's just done in a comedy fashion.
Exactly.
It's still
But
a horror film.
it certainly sits in the genre.
100%.
But it's again the main, and I suppose this comes back to what is about to be a past future remade future episode about Die Hard.
Back to the past future.
Back to the future past.
Back to Nakatomi Plaza.
Aye.
The
So
first time we did it, or the second time we've not done it yet.
the third time that we're going to do it.
Third time we're about to do it.
So when we Die Harder, and we talk about that, I can't even remember the point I was going to make originally. No,
Pow!
what did we say before that?
Shaun of the Dead.
Shaun of the Dead scene.
It's
or
not
something,
an
I
actual
don't know.
horror film, but it sits in the genre.
Aye, it sits in the genre, and that was my large argument, which we will get into again at some point, is the reason I don't feel like it's an out and out Christmas movie is because the main part of the movie that's not what it's about.
I
And
would
so
also
the main
agree that
purpose of
Shaun
Shaun
of
of
the
the
Dead
Dead is not to
a
scare
Christmas
you.
film.
No, but it's also not to scare you. It's
Aye.
more to make you laugh than
Yeah,
it is to
okay.
frighten you.
Nah,
So
that's
for
a
me, it
fair
would be a
call.
comedy horror rather than a horror comedy.
Right.
Whereas
okay.
I would say that Evil Dead's probably more a horror comedy. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
still
that's
trying to make you jump, but it's really funny.
And to be honest, the only real comedy that comes from it is just Bruce Campbell's
Being
performance,
amazing.
just because he's incredible.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. Love that guy.
Absolute G.
He is.
So yeah, Evil Dead 2.
So I was just asking if there was anything on multiple lists if you guys had Jaws, but we were moving on to your next one, Jordan.
So I don't have Jaws on my list, but my next film is classic Halloween, 1978.
Yeah.
Again, we're back to music. It is phenomenal.
Absolutely.
Up there with the best.
It's a great film as
of all
well.
time.
One of the things I love about it is at the very start of the film, you see the world through Michael Myers' eyes.
Mm-hmm.
You see him committing that first kill, and then the perspective flips, and then you're seeing it through Laurie Strode's.
Yeah.
And again, he is the big unstoppable monster that just will not quit.
I think it's
one of the best antagonists.
Oh, 100%.
Movies.
I would argue that potentially he is obviously the antagonist, but because of exactly what you've said, you can almost argue that he's the protagonist of Halloween.
Aye.
Halloween is Mike Myers' franchise.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
You can't really have.
The same way like
I know they've
Nightmare
done
on
like-
Elm Street is Freddy Krueger's franchise.
Well,
Like,
they've done Season of the Witch and stuff where he was never even in it, and it didn't do very well, and then they had to bring him back. So
aye. I think the one thing that I will always be grateful to Halloween for, it's a brilliant film, right? Music's amazing, but it really did make Jamie Lee Curtis.
Aye.
And Jamie Lee Curtis is one of my favourite actresses of all time. I think it's one of the best examples of perfect casting and the perfect role.
Do you know she was only given? So apparently, allegedly, from what I've read, she was given the opportunity to cast for it because her mum was obviously in Psycho. Well, that was the only reason why she was on the radar, because it was going to be a horror film, and
Love
she
that.
absolutely smashed it, and then
Nepotism.
became one of the original Scream Queens.
The thing, one of the things I really like about it actually, like, so I'm a big Walking Dead fan. Right, I've always loved the Walking Dead. Yeah, I know. Even as it got poorer and stuff, right? But you can actually see, and it happens quite a lot now. The archetype of the female protagonist in a horror movie. They are all following that Laurie Strode beat,
Yes.
and Carol in The Walking Dead is basically just a proto Laurie Strode. And then so even in the more recent Halloween movie, and you see her, and she's actually so much more confident, and she's like, "Fuck you, Michael." It's exactly the same arc that Carol went through, and she became again one of the best characters in what was for a long time one of the best
I
shows
think it was great.
ever.
It was great.
It obviously went off the rails, but the good 5-6 seasons of it were must-watch TV, and she was one of the best characters in it. And it was honestly, you have Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween to thank for that. 100%.
We could do an entire episode talking about what went wrong with The Walking Dead. But,
We could. We wouldn't be finished it in time for
No,
next
certainly
Halloween.
not.
Go. You just mentioned it. Her mum was in Psycho. Psycho, man.
Yeah.
Do you need to say much about Psycho?
Tremendous.
I don't think so.
Do you think? It's depending on the demographic of people that are watching podcasts and stuff like that. Do you think enough people our age and younger have watched it?
I think what you might find now is more people have probably seen Bates Motel, the TV
Yeah.
show, than they've actually seen, or they may have seen the remake with Vince Vaughn, which wasn't
Anne Hesh.
that great.
I think you'll also get like a lot of people understanding individual scenes through references
Right,
rather
social media.
than actually having seen the original.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been absolutely like lampooned to within an inch of his life. Psycho, as a movie, again, it's a flawless film
It's a
from
great
start to finish. When you think about how it was made, when it was made, some stuff looks ridiculous and whatever, and that's fine because it was. I mean, when was Psycho made? 1961, 62, something like that.
Something like that. It would be the 60s. But one of the best endings as well. One of my favourite endings for a
Phenomenal.
film
twist.
as well.
Mhm.
Fantastic.
And again, the whole thing that they did was what Scream kind of repeated the trick of the main character really, really early on going, and it's just a brilliant film, man. Absolutely brilliant. Anthony Perkins, again, like every now and then somebody gets put in a film and plays a part, and some people get unfairly typecast, and some people it's just because, no, you are just that person. He is just Norman Bates.
So next I went with 28 Days Later.
I was close.
It's a absolutely amazing film. Again, for the budget that it must have had, some of the scenes that they have where they're filming as well,
Yeah.
the fact that they had like deserted streets and everything is fantastic. I love, obviously they're not zombies, but the infected that run, just because it just makes for that much more.
And that was new at that point.
Yeah, it was. It was
We've
like
only
a
ever seen slow,
Aye.
mummy type zombies.
Did that come out before Dawn of the Dead, or like the remake Dawn of the Dead?
I think it was running about the same
The
time.
remake
It
Dawn of the
wasn't-
Dead
it
was,
wasn't much.
I think, was 2004, and if I was
Thing
guessing, 28 Days Later, I would say. God, it might have been the same year. Maybe 2002.
Was, but I'm not entirely sure. I just remember it being that much more terrifying because I did always like the classic zombie films. Love zombie films. But that one was just so terrifying. It was the eyes as well. The eyes, they weren't like
yellow.
It was rage. It was proper anger like through them. So they were terrifying, absolutely terrifying.
Cillian Murphy was amazing.
Yeah, Cillian Murphy was great.
That was one of the first things I probably ever seen him in. But I thought he was amazing in it, and also Robert Carlyle's in it as well, and he was a bit of a dick.
20,
he got his.
28 Days Later, 2002. Dawn of the Dead, 2004. I'm so good at that, man. I'm so good at that.
Have you seen the stuff for 28 years later?
No,
yes.
I haven't seen anything.
Is his name Joseph Quinn? Is it him that's in it? That is Joe Quinn in it.
He's enjoying his horror stuff, isn't he?
I think it's going to be really good.
I think I hope 28 so. Weeks later was great.
I really liked it.
Really good.
I just thought it was okay.
I
really enjoyed it.
Weeks later. I don't know if maybe it was
because it
wasn't 28 days later and it wasn't quite as good. I didn't really like the way a couple of people died. Frustrated me.
Shortchanged.
Yeah, it was just didn't feel. I didn't feel like they earned the deaths that they got. I get they were just trying to be a wee bit creative in that with the way that they filmed a couple of them, but yeah, just weren't very satisfying. So quite frustrating. Yeah. But yeah, I love 20 Years Later.
That was very close for my 5.
Yeah, and I don't like I know there's like multiple endings. They filmed like a couple of endings. I like the cinematic release where he's still alive at the end.
In the wee cottage.
Yeah, in the wee cottage. I like that. Much more hopeful.
I will always...
I'm a sucker for a happy ending.
But I will always go with what was released in the original. So like, even Justice League, right? Zack Snyder's version obviously is better, but that's not what was released. Like, you don't get a second go. Do you know what I mean? Like
second first impression.
One exactly. As Spider-Man and Family Guy says, everybody gets one.
Tell Peter. So number 4 for me was Hollow Man with Kevin Bacon.
Shout.
Thought that was a great film.
Love that film.
Elizabeth Shue, Josh Brolin. For anyone who's not seen it, Kevin Bacon is a scientist who creates a serum where people can be invisible. He starts out as a bit of a dick, but an alright guy, and then when he becomes invisible, he realises he can get away with a lot of shit. And
funnily enough, I used to be called that, the Invisible Dick.
That's what he called your dad. But Hollow Man, tremendous film.
Great film.
Great graphics were great. I loved it.
Nothing to add. Well, actually, I do, because you've just said that the effects were brilliant.
They were amazing.
Yeah. That's early 2000s, wasn't it?
Brilliant. The bit in the swimming pool where he's strangling the general who's trying to kibosh his program and stuff like that was amazing. Even the bit with the gorilla when they inject the serum into the gorilla first, and it starts fading away. It's just the muscle, then the veins, then the bones, and then nothing. It was.
When you think about it for that time, that's actually incredible.
So
great film, love it.
Aye, great
Told
shout.
you I went about
totally
rogue,
forgot about that. That's not rogue at all. That's a great shout.
For me, it's a bit off-piste.
Absolutely. From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yes.
I was very close.
Yeah, I love that. I really like vampire films where vampires are actual monsters.
This is the first time you've mentioned one.
First time I've got another one. But no, I didn't want it to be 5 vampire movies. That's why I didn't include another one. But yeah, from Dusk Till Dawn, I think the writing's great. I think the characters, while not particularly good, are all very likeable. And it's just the classic Quentin Tarantino style. The violence is so over the top and stuff like that. The way they kill some of the vampires, it's incredible. Just people that you like getting offed in like really horrible ways as well. It's just pulls no punches. Love it.
It's the only film in which Quentin Tarantino could almost pass as an actor. The only one.
He plays with that part really
That's
well.
what I mean. Like he's actually good in that.
Especially when he goes into his internal fantasies and stuff like that.
He's actually good in that, and he's kind of the rapid fire way that he speaks and stuff suits the character. Is it Richie? That is Richie. Yeah. Suits the character really well and the situation really well. But he doesn't. I think the problem is, and you know how big a fan of Tarantino I am as a filmmaker, but when he does then put himself on screen, it just really takes you out of it. I feel. He absolutely fits in it.
Yeah. So also, I don't think I was aware of him enough when I first saw this movie for it to be distracting. So it didn't ruin it for me.
The thing I like about it is it doesn't really become a horror until the last 40 minutes.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's just it's a heist film, it's a kidnap film, and then all of a sudden you're in a bar at the top of a
Yeah.
fucking mine pyramid and it's
Yeah.
full of vampires.
And I don't
Even
think-
that pull-out scene at the end. when
Yeah,
you start to see the
yeah,
pyramid,
That's
it's
crap.
tremendous.
I don't think that you can talk about From Dusk Till Dawn and not mention Salma Hayek, because
No.
my God, man, unbelievable.
I can't say too much because that might be one of my favourite scenes.
The Invisible Dick. Yourself?
For me, my last one, it's not a horror film, but it's a film we watch every Halloween, and it's Hocus Pocus.
Nice. Hocus Pocus.
Great
Favourite.
Love it.
Great
Yeah.
film.
Just good.
How was the second one? I've not watched that yet. Shite.
It was a film with the same actors on it.
Okay.
I completely
Okay.
forgot of like the genre of like family Halloween movies.
I consider people just...
It was horror Halloween.
Yeah,
But it's just good. It reminds me of my childhood. We used to watch it all the time.
Great
Zachary Banks and just some good wee bits apart.
Yeah,
There was a good wee nod in the second one to they meet another witch in the woods and she's dressed basically as the wee sister was dressed. So she was dressed in the witch with
right,
the
okay.
the red and orange outfit. They had a witch dress like that in it and
Yeah.
stuff. But it was alright. It was...
Do you know it's because obviously that had the comeback, that had a sequel recently, and they also more of an honourable mention, but I hadn't thought. But a film that is actually really scary, but it's a kids' film, was The Witches. Do you remember The Witches for the 90s?
Yeah.
And then they remade it with Anne Hathaway. I've not watched the Anne
I've not
Hathaway
seen
one
I've not
yet.
watched the Anne Hathaway one,
but
I just remember being terrified.
Yeah,
The actual
the
one
It was
first
so
one's
see
really
the
scary.
transformation, man.
In the
It
conference
was
room.
Angelica Houston. Oh man,
As
it
a
was
kid,
brilliant,
how
man.
terrifying was that?
It was again another one of the film. One of the films that really terrified me when I was really young was The Wizard of Oz. Every time the Wicked Witch of the West came on, I used to hide behind the couch. Honestly,
Fair.
Hocus Pocus, great shout, man, great
Yeah,
shout.
that was a good pick.
And I'm surprised if it's obviously not on anybody else's list. Poltergeist.
Aye.
I think it's potentially the best out and out horror movie ever made.
Do you know what annoys me about it? Is that wee lassie? She's a fucking pain in the ass. I've just turned my telly off.
The curse of Poltergeist is always quite interesting. And then we're
But
watching.
the same with the Wizard of Oz as well.
I know. Well, we're watching the Menendez brothers thing now.
What one?
You seen that the
drama one?
fictional
or
one, the fictionalised one.
Benicio del Toro one?
No, it's not Benicio.
No, it's the other one.
Javier
Bardem. The other one. That's a cut. I know it's honestly so good, right? But Nathan Lane's in it. But no, Nathan Lane plays the dad, and you don't realise it until I didn't realise it until like literally the last episode. The dad of the girl that was in Poltergeist and got murdered by her ex-boyfriend.
Oh,
And he
shit, in real
literally,
life?
strangled her to death for 5 minutes.
Fuck's sake.
And it's not a spoiler for the show or anything like that, but you just don't realise that's who he's playing.
That's why
and
you
then
didn't react to his joke.
Oh, yeah, I don't know that.
nah, it was just evil. My joke to be fair.
Definitely cut that out.
100%.
Nathan Lane comes and kicks her cut.
Exactly. But nah, Poltergeist, man, like invented a lot of the stuff that you see in any movie that's trying to be scary now. Does the same stuff, like a glass explodes, right? The furniture's
You
moved.
don't have Paranormal Activity without Poltergeist,
Exactly.
and that's a full franchise based on that film.
Brilliant film.
Very, very fair.
Brilliant film.
I said I was going to ask for a bit of leeway, so it was maybe going to be Shaun of the Dead, but the one I'd actually like it to be.
You said it was a
if
vampire
you
movie.
love
See,
it-
this is Twilight. You're off the podcast.
It's not Twilight. I fucking hate Twilight.
Good.
No,
Twilight 2.
Newman. I hate that. I know that. No,
I hate that you know
it's-
that.
Yeah.
You forgot that?
No, I would like to. Can I have Blade?
Yes.
Can I have Blade's a
I'll
horror
give
movie?
Blade.
I absolutely
Okay.
love that one. I love Blade. It's such a great film. I honestly I don't know where to start talking about it.
Don't
I
have
just
a lot
love
of MCU
everything.
without
that's-
Blade. Like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
What-
absolutely.
Blade, X-Men, Spider-Man. If those three films don't do as well as they did, the
Right,
genre
it's
doesn't
not
exist the way it
happening.
does.
100%.
You know, looking back, the animation for when the vampires would get killed.
Bust in the dust, I loved
yeah, but it was like
That
there
was
was like,
great.
there was a fiery, ashy
Yeah,
element
yeah.
to it as well. That was it just looked so
I liked the music.
cool.
It was that nightclub scene, like, that's one of the best scenes for
Aye.
any film.
It spoilers, that's in my top 5 as well. The whole movie.
Another example of music, and it's not the same. Like, every other film, and certainly in my list, has been a score. I think all yours, Hocus Pocus, is a bit more
Majority
poppy,
are
but
scores.
most is their scores. That really used atmospheric music in the scene amazingly well.
Yeah.
Blade. Listen, the Blade would have been on mine if I thought you would have allowed me to have it. I thought you would have went, no, it's a superhero program.
Yeah, that.
Right, so let's narrow it down to the Mates Movies and Malts top 5 then. So we're clearly having
Aliens on it.
Yeah,
and
Aliens on
Hocus
it.
Pocus.
I would maybe let you have it at 5, but there's some stuff on here that
I think for me, I love Hocus Pocus. I think it goes on the maybe list now. I think Scream off of your list has to go on it.
Does everybody want to take one off of the list that's guaranteed entry?
Right, so I'll
Right,
take
okay.
Scream.
Okay.
Scream. I'll take 28 Days Later.
I was hoping you were going to take Alien there.
Well,
I know we've all took Alien.
Alien's already in.
Alien's on all of those.
I'm going to take a gamble that you guys aren't going to be mental. I'll take Jaws.
Yeah.
Because it's Jaws, right?
So
but I'm
Alien,
hoping that
Jaws,
you're going to come.
Scream. So we've got 2 to go.
Yeah.
28 Days Later is me.
But Alien's on it because we all had Alien. So we've only got room for one more then.
One, so now are you going to fight for Hocus Pocus?
Nah, I'm going to pitch Hollow Man.
Hollow Man. I've got to be honest, I only kind of like Hollow Man.
I only kind of like you.
Alright, so
I've got to be honest. I don't think you can have a top 5.
I feel like Pete's got too many classics.
You can't have
for me
top
to
5
fight
movies
for any of
without
these.
having The Shining and Psycho on it.
I'm going to throw out The Thing then, just to really fuck it up.
If it wasn't on a list, it's not getting in. It's hard, isn't it?
Right, why don't we just stop at a top 4 and we'll let everybody else pick the 5th one?
Aye.
Everybody else, right, Ben? It's your turn.
Right, I need you to pick Hocus Pocus.
J-Dog.
I vote for The Shining.
Yeah. Anybody want to throw out an honourable mention?
When I said Jaws, and I was doing it because I was hoping you guys were going to be. I'm going to need to rethink me because if it's a horror list, I've got to have The Shining before Jaws.
Yeah, okay.
Right, so
I've got to
Alien,
have so Alien, The Shining,
28 Days Later.
28 Days Later,
Scream.
Scream.
You guys can pick the last one. Email us at matesmoviesandmalts@gmail.com, not .co.uk.
Or find us on socials at Mates Movies and Malts. Honourable mentions, you said there, Stefan.
No!
Yeah,
I feel like we're back at Luca's naming day.
no, just
I'll find out.
movies that they weren't going to make my top 5. I just wanted to mention them just because I think they're really good. The Descent, that's a fantastic one. Jeepers Creepers, the sequels make it get a lot of hate. I think
just
the
thought
first
the first
one's
one?
solid.
The first one was good.
The first
but-
one's really good. All the
Find that.
sequels are
Is it a horror?
Aye.
It's
Jeepers
Creepers.
I know, but
Ready or Not?
Great film.
I don't think I've seen that one.
It's the
Really
lassie
good.
who
Samara
I always
Weaving.
get confused with Margot Robbie. It's not Margot
It's
Robbie.
Samara Weaving.
Samara Weaving,
Samara
aye.
Weaving, and she's brilliant in it.
It's a really good film.
Not seen it.
Yeah, no, take the time to watch it, man. It's fantastic. I won't waste it for you. What else? I had Jennifer's Body. I think that's better than people give it credit for.
Yeah.
And Happy Death Day, a modern one.
Yeah.
I thought that was actually quite entertaining. Falls into the horror comedy thing. I just thought that was
I'll
decent.
throw a few out as well.
Nah,
I'll throw a few
definitely.
out to The Purge. Really love that franchise. Final Destination. Midsummer. I think that's a great film.
I think I've seen that one either.
Florence Pugh.
Oh,
is one
watch
of
that.
the
Oh,
Florence
quite
Pugh
recent
films.
one. I heard that was really good.
It's like set in Sweden.
It's
and
like horrible.
it's
Absolutely
Right,
horrible.
okay.
brutal. It's a hard watch.
It really is, man.
Cabin in the Woods. I really like that.
The new one.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Hills of Eyes. Wrong Turn. The list goes on.
There's just so many.
For me, the special mentions, I'd gone down the route of a couple that I wasn't sure if you would say were out and out horrors: Silence of the Lambs and Misery.
Silence of the Lambs nearly made my list, and Misery nearly made my list for the scenes.
Misery's amazing, man.
Great film.
And then some more recent stuff, and we mentioned it very briefly last time when we said we were going to do a horror episode. Jordan Peele has had a couple of amazing horror movies out recently. Us and Get Out's amazing, but I actually prefer Us. I thought Us was
Us was really good.
so good, man. See when the family in red are just standing in the driveway, man.
Probably more of a horror than Get Out.
Us is,
Yeah.
I'd say Get Out is more of a thriller. Us is more
Aye,
of
a political.
I would also,
horror.
I like Nope as well. Nope's
Nope,
really good.
not
Still
watched
not
it
watched
yet.
it.
Not of Planet Earth. Really good.
Oh, I didn't. Is that what that stands for?
Aye, not of Planet Earth.
I did love the fact that they went down that route, and then they obviously had that very easy link to that Nope thing. That was quite clever.
Smile's also really good as well. That was quite a fun.
I've heard that's got Smile 2's apparently meant to be really good.
Right.
With what's her name that's in that? She's in loads of stuff.
She was in the Charlie's Angels remake and
Yes.
stuff. Yeah, I don't know.
She was Princess Jasmine in the, new,
Oh,
the
yeah.
live action Aladdin.
I know
and stuff.
exactly who you're talking about. I can't remember her name.
But and then my last one was John Krasinski, the Quiet Place, and A Quiet Place 2. Brilliant.
Have you seen the newest
Brilliant
one?
films. Not yet. Day one.
Day one's very
I need to watch it.
Great. Right, so moving on to the next topic then. So
Yeah.
next we're going to talk about our top 5 scares, kills, scenes from a horror film.
Yeah.
So Stefan, you want to kick us off on this one?
I'll go first if you like. First one that came to mind, I did this in a rush because I forgot we were doing this, so I've missed a few. But I've just went with the ones that went to talk about. 28 Weeks Later, we talked about it. As much as I don't I don't love that movie, the opening scene, I think it's amazing. Like that house out in the middle of nowhere, off the back there's like I think it's the lake, not the lake, sorry, like the river at the back. Or just the infected coming, charging the house, main character just about managing to get out.
Yeah.
The entire sequence of him running, trying to get to the boat. The way
it ramps up the tension.
Yeah,
immediately.
It also tells you everything you need to know about his character as well, because he's got his wife and he's playing the part of the loving husband. As soon as like shit goes down, left her for dead, did not care, he's just away. Jumps into the boat and then just fucks off himself. Yeah. Just like, nah, I just want to survive. I don't care.
See ya.
It's because he had his running shoes on, she didn't. She's got a pair of flip-flops, the fucking zombie apocalypse.
And just that one sequence of her like smashing against the window, getting his attention. He turns around and looks just in time to see her horrified face that he's leaving her behind, just as she gets snatched back.
Yeah,
I was like, that's great, fantastic.
That's brilliant scene. We'll go with the obvious one, Chestbuster. The first time that ever happens.
It's on my list, yeah.
I
the first time that happened in Alien.
First, we literally just spoke about it 10 minutes ago.
The first time you watch that, and I watched Alien for the first time when I was maybe 9 or 10, and I remember watching that clear as day, right, and it was terrifying. Like just so well done. And I think the thing that worked for me in that scene specifically is that nobody knows what's happening.
Exactly, they're all just sitting there, they're having a laugh, they're having a bit of scran, and literally he starts coughing blood.
Immediately, and it happens so quickly, and then
it's just how noise, it's the bone shattering noise.
It's so good, man. And that thud, which is like, it's exactly how it would. It's so well thought out. Do you know what I mean? It's like I admit, I'll always talk about The Thick of It, the programme I love, and there was a line in it once where Peter Capaldi says, you'll feel the thump of a harpoon in your thorax, and it's exactly that noise I hear every time he says it. It's just the chest buster. Chest buster.
I think that whole scene is helped by them having gone through like one horrible thing, and now they think
it's calm.
It's calm. Just enjoy the bit. So it's done. We're okay.
Also, the fact that it's John Hurt, and just John Hurt is just John Hurt.
I'm going to go for the needle pit from Saw 2.
Oh yeah. So how have we not mentioned Saw yet? But Saw is one of the best modern horrors of the franchises, but Saw 1 and 2 were amazing.
The first one was really, really good.
I love 2 as well. 1 and 2 were brilliant.
The needle pit, for those who haven't seen it, basically in a room there's a big massive hole cut out the floor, and it's filled with thousands and thousands of used syringes. And the character, you don't realise that she's not a nice character at the time, but she has to jump into this pit to get a key to get out. And I think the thing that makes it worse for that is the fact that she's a recovering drug addict as well. She used to inject heroin, and she's had to dive into this pit of needles to get through it.
And I'm pretty sure she's desperate not to do it. She's not get pushed. She gets pushed in by one of the, because there's a bunch of them trying to survive.
They're trying to get a key. But it turns out that some of them, so not all the syringes were deneedled. And some of them still had needles in them. There was a few that they missed, and quite a lot of them she got pricked with and stuff like that.
No, thank you.
No, that I hated that scene.
That's the equivalent of, let's see, when in any film we talk about anything that's set around Vietnam, and you see them putting bamboo shoots under the fingernails. That just gives me that right up the spine, and so does that scene. That's a great shout.
I think there's some scenes that it feels like it's happening to you as soon as
it's just really visceral and do that.
Candyman with all the bees on him, like he would get paid an extra X amount for it.
That one doesn't do to me too badly, to be fair. But there's always going to be those wee things that just get you, isn't there? And that one gets me, the needle pit.
Horrendous. Blade. The opening scene of Blade nightclub, just the blood, the way they introduce it. Obviously, that guy that's been brought there, and he's the meal for everyone. All the vampires. I particularly love it as well because I still maintain that it is a horror movie, but I almost feel like the big monster everyone's afraid of is the good guy, which is a nice spin.
See, he just died recently. Played Whistler.
Chris Christopherson.
Get you fuckers at a bad time. It's one of my favourite lines for a film.
That was really good. No, absolutely love that sequence. The music, the song just plays. I think even now, if you just start hearing that, you immediately remember exactly what it's from.
Am I right in thinking that Whistler was never in the comics? Whistler was original for the film, wasn't it? And then
Whistler, I don't know if he was in the comics, but he was in the Spider-Man cartoon, and he was in a wheelchair.
Was he?
He was in the Amazing Spider-Man we played.
I
read
need to
that
update this one. I actually don't know.
I've never read
I know that Chloe Sullivan for Smallville was just an original character and then made it into the Superman comics. I feel like there's something like that about Whistler.
Let's not talk about her considering some of the stuff she's done.
That's a bad road to go. But Whistler was in the Amazing Spider-Man TV show as well.
Mm-hmm.
But the nightclub sequence, I think it's just fantastic.
Yeah.
The music, the blood sprinklers, just the way the vampires are designed as well. I think it's really cool. It's very simple and straightforward. The moment where they realise that he's there, and the way that they've angled the shot and they turn just as the sprinklers are starting to switch off, just the way that it's shot is absolutely incredible.
Again, another example of could it possibly have been cast better?
No,
and I still don't. I know, obviously, I don't even know if it's going to happen. But the whole Mahershala Ali thing, love him, phenomenal actor. Mm-hmm. Is he going to be better as Blade than
probably not
than Wesley Snipes, man?
I cast him years ago when we went to see a Elite.
I remember.
You did. You called that. I genuinely about 8 years before Blade was even hinted at in the MCU. You called that. That's right.
It's the scene in the limo, isn't it?
Yeah,
the scene in the limo, and you went like, he should be Blade.
That's right.
So the ending of The Descent. I obviously mentioned that one. It was an honourable mention.
Mm-hmm.
The actual proper ending that it got, not the one that they tried to make nice up. The original ending where she hits her head, gets knocked out, wakes up, like screaming, manages to find the exit, gets to the car, drives off, and she's crying. And then she sees like a ghost of one of her pals that's been killed. And then suddenly she's snapped back and she's still in the cave, and then it's slowly pulling out, and you see how big the caverns actually are, how many there are, how many of those things are still alive, still coming for her, and you just realise she's fucked, she's dead, and it's her face as it's pulling out and stuff like that. You see it as a
genuine horror.
One of the few horror movies that I think is better for not having a happy ending. Fantastic.
I'll give you that.
And just that scene itself, though, I think is just fantastic.
Oh, it's phenomenal. I thought another example of something similar to that. Do you remember the film The Mist?
Yes.
The one was on the boat
with Thomas Jane.
No, the one where they're in the shopping centre for the
no.
And it's the one in the boat's the fog, isn't it?
Okay.
The Mist, where at the end they think they're about to get destroyed, and he literally, again, spoiler, it's 2003 something like that.
You're fine, everyone.
They're in a jeep, and basically he thinks they're about to get eaten, and to save his kids from getting torn apart, he shoots them, and then he realises it's the bloody army that have turned up. Have you not seen that?
Oh, and he's fucking
It's
probably not watch it now.
I think it's him, his son, and then two other survivors. He's only got 3 bullets in his gun. So he shoots the 3 of them, and then he gets out the jeep, and he's just going to let the monster kill him. Mm-hmm. And then the mist goes away,
immediately,
and it's just him screaming.
God's sake, Tom, it was a bit of bad weather. I'm surprised you've not seen that. I did check if you wanted to spoil it, but just when you said that was a great example of the ending making the film 25 million times better, because the film was only alright, and then that was astonishing.
I think I laughed when that happened. I don't know if that just like I just thought it's
I'm the one that gets a hard time for like horror films.
I know.
Fucking
no,
hell.
I just thought it was one of those ones that's right on the verge of being like so fucking preposterous, like the timing. Just because it's literally about what 20 seconds after he's killed them.
That's why he does it, because he feels the army turning up, and he thinks it's and so that's the whole point. That's why it works for me.
You try to justify it for me. It's just my twisted sense of humour.
I know, man.
I just thought it was funny.
I think we should stop making fun of this guy.
I'm going to keep poking him. Tony did to fucking banner on the carrier.
Aye. Clearly he can't handle pointy things. My last kind of really, really obvious one, and we mentioned the film again earlier on, the shower scene, Psycho.
Yeah.
Again, you don't need to see more. It's been copied and redone and rehashed so many times because it was perfect. It scared the shit out of every single person that watched it. Everybody was shocked. It's the main character, it's the big name gone, and just brutally. The thing I love, and this is something that I really do think is important, see in Psycho, at that entire scene, you never see the knife go into her.
No.
You never see it, right? It's
the shadow in it.
One of the scariest films of all time, right? Like widely accepted, and it's scarier because of what it doesn't show. And that's my problem with the genre, is just, how many creative ways can we dismember this body? How many different ways can we do this? How gory can we make it and stuff? Gore has its place, of course it does, but that is just a flawless way to tell that story. And it makes me I can't remember who it was, right, but somebody was talking about it years ago, and said, in horror movies, a whisper is scarier than a scream. And it's so bang on, man. You just, what you don't show, what you're not just trying to terrify people in a shallow way, you're trying to catch people unaware and unexpected, and that was brilliant.
And that's the kind of reason why I don't particularly enjoy movies like Hostel and stuff. Like,
exactly.
It's a good scene in that, but the Achilles tendon scene, that was fucked up. Was it they opened the door to let them go, but cut their Achilles tendon?
I remember that.
Up to try and walk away. Fuck up.
Aye. So that's my last, and then my last two for the next ones are slightly less just predictable.
Fair enough. My next one will be the laser hallway scene from Resident Evil.
I forgot about that one. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Again, for nobody who's seen it, there's a laser beam.
There's a shark with a cello.
They're trying to jump out the way, it comes through in waves, and then I can't never remember that guy's name, but the last man standing, he's getting ready to kind of jump or duck or roll or whatever, and then the laser beam just opens up into like a mesh grid and cuts him into perfect wee diving shapes, and then he just starts falling apart onto the floor. I thought that was a great scene.
I thought it was brilliant. It's totally. all the stuff before it as well. Like, so obviously the very first one, the laser's just static, just goes one way, catches the first person out, and then the second time the laser's coming, the guy thinks he's sussed it out, jumps up, and it jumps up with him, and takes it. Oh, it's great.
He's furiously trying to deactivate it. He's turned it back on.
And I get that adds to the attention of the fact that there's like other people watching it, desperately trying to stop it.
And they just can't.
And they get helpless. That's great.
I'm already calling that's on the top 5.
That
is in the top 5.
One of the good crossovers from the game to the film. But that one part.
100%. Great scene.
So I've only got one left, and it's just a joke one that I just threw in, and it was Salma Hayek dancing.
Okay.
Done. Fair. I enjoyed that scene.
Yeah, I get it. How many times?
Repeatedly.
Did you rewind it?
Once or twice. The mirror shot from Shaun of the Dead. Not the actual mirror. They filmed the same sequence twice. Once before everyone's turned to shit, and once after. He basically does the exact same routine. Completely missing the fact that suddenly there's zombies and dead people about and stuff like that. Just the fact that they were able to pull that off and have it be so close to the first one, I just think that was very impressive. I don't think it makes the top 5 of like a horror thing. I just thought that was really good.
Shaun of the Dead almost made my list, and it was the sorry mum scene. So when his mum gets back, he leaves her in the pub, but then she gets reanimated, and he apologises to her before he kills her. I thought that was really good. But
actually, another touching bit from that is actually the way he is with
Ed.
No, he's stepdad.
Oh, is it Richard?
What's his bloody name? The actor Bill Nye. Thank you. And he's just like, there's this whole kind of friction between them the whole time, and then he's just devastated, man. Exactly, so good, man.
Quick one for you, Steph. So you mentioned the Salma Hayek scene. What is your favourite Salma Hayek scene? Dogma or Reservoir Dogs?
From Dusk Till Dawn.
From Dusk Till Dawn, sorry.
God, when she turned up as a vampire in Reservoir Dogs, man, it scared the shit out of me.
I don't know. I'll probably
Mrs. Burgundy.
I'll probably go from Dusk. Do you know what? I could have actually genuinely used that, because that scene is immediately before everything goes to hell, because she's a distraction to set it up for them locking the doors and stuff like that.
It actually works really well for the story.
Yeah.
Like, as gratuitous as it gets, but it actually does work.
I think I watched the build up too often that I forgot about the payoff.
Let's just leave that there. First half of this movie for me is almost perfect. Second half of the movie, you see the monsters and it just goes by the wayside, and it's I Am Legend. Right? The scene, it's not like the scariest scene ever, but for me it's one of the best scenes in any sort of like that sort of world, when Sam the dog runs in and he's going through in the pitch black, and he's using the light on his gun, and he's just doing that to see it, and the breathing, the use of sound, everything. it's one of the I mean, it's a Will Smith film where he's the only star in it, and you genuinely think he could go here.
Yeah.
Brilliant
It's an
scene.
intense scene. Very
Brilliant
intense.
scene.
So my last one is from Scream 5, and it's when Dewey gets killed. When Dewey Riley meets his maker. This man has survived 4 fucking Scream films at this point. He has been stabbed. He walks with a limp because of what he's been through. He's seen a lot of people die, and he gets killed, and I was absolutely heartbroken. When I genuinely thought, up until the credits were rolling up, that he was going to come back at some point and be the hero of the third act, but it never happened, and I was absolutely gutted.
Doc Ock in Spider-Man 2, when he's unconscious and the arms come and they do the whole shadow thing, and it's the chainsaw buzzes, and literally they just slices through the full medical team. I think that's one of the best scenes in superhero
I don't
movies.
know how you're shoehorning this into horror though.
Oh mate, that's a horror scene in a superhero film. That whole bit, the soundtrack to it is Sam Raimi paying tribute to everything he'd done previously in a Spider-Man movie.
That is loose.
That's an out-and-out horror scene in a comic book movie.
When you said Sam Raimi, I thought you were going to do Drag Me to Hell.
That's what I thought you were going to do as well.
I thought you were going to drag me to hell.
No, I wasn't. I was going to do
I
was doing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
And she starts gumming that lassie's chin. Fuck you.
But I don't see how that's tenuous in the slightest. I honestly think that whole, like, the way that they do that is straight out of a horror movie in a Spider-Man movie that was a PG-rated film.
I can't believe I asked
Brilliant
permission for Blade, and then he came out with Spider-Man.
I didn't say it was the greatest thing. I said it's a great scene of that genre in a film that's not of that
It's a
genre.
good scene.
Fair enough.
It's very loose.
That's fine.
Right, so
Chainsaws pure cutting through flesh, man. That's never in horror movies.
and then fucking Aunt May's late to the post office. The next
It's not an exciting film as Spider-Man 2.
Right, so let's narrow it down to a top 4 then. So Chestbuster, top of the list.
Gotta be.
Then we've got one each after that.
Right, Steve.
I mean, I don't think. Mine's aren't even. The only one I would really fight for is the 28 weeks later opening scene.
What were you not Blade?
Oh,
So this is your
Blade. My one that I definitely get.
Aye.
I'll go Blade then. Nightclub sequence.
Gotta be.
I'm going to go Needle Pit. That's just a horrible scene.
Just so unsettling.
And seeing as I never got.
Don't you dare pick Spider-Man.
No, I'm not going to. Seeing as I never got Psycho into the greatest films list, we'll go with the shower scene.
Yeah.
I've got to apologise to Jack Nicholson because how here's Johnny's not on it, but
I think he'll be bothered.
no, if I was Jack Nicholson, I'd be raging.
That's me. Or one viewer might pick it.
What if it's Jack Nicholson?
And the golfer. You guys get to pick the last one again.
Yeah.
And it fucking better be here's Johnny. Cool, that's the scenes. The last thing that we did, and before we do, we've not even talked about the whole whiskey bit, which, if we're being honest, is probably the only bit of this podcast that Jack Nicholson would be interested in. The whiskey bit.
Yes.
We do the whole tenuous link thing, and my tenuous link this week is a fucking belter. So the whole, for me, the scariest thing in horror is what you don't know. It's the unknown, it's the darkness and stuff like that. So I've picked a whiskey this week that is in a decanter, and I have no idea what it is.
Oh, excellent.
So I have no clue. I've smelt it smells alright, but I have no clue what type of whiskey is in that. So I went unknown.
Well, to save you, I've actually bought a whiskey this week as well.
Okay.
And it is probably a bit more connected. It is a bottle of Johnny White Walker.
Nice.
So White Walkers are almost like zombies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we like a bit of Game of Thrones as well.
We do a wee side-by-side comparison.
Side-by-side
Because there's a
comparison.
bit of 80% chance that's what's in that.
Aye. This has not been opened yet either. This is the only bottle of whiskey that I've ever owned in my life. Apart from that one at a raffle a couple of years ago. It's open.
Love it. What we'll do, I believe, Steve, that you are driving a motorised vehicle tonight.
I'm driving, I'm afraid, so I cannot partake.
So what we'll do is...
I know somebody else that might take your Stefan, don't worry about it.
No, what we'll do, because we've got the 3 glasses, right, so why don't we do a measure of one, a measure of the other, and we'll compare them side by side, and then we'll put a measure of each into the thing. I've no, that's what I'm missing, the decanter.
That's what's not
The
there.
infinity
I
bottle.
missed it.
Do you know, I have it on good authority that this is made of neither Johnny's or White Walkers. So I'm quite excited to try it.
Mm-hmm. You picking anything up on the nose? Snow?
It's got a real whiskey.
Whiskey notes.
Since you don't know what
I
it
think
is,
it's really nice.
how can you tell if it's a sitting whiskey?
It's got a real
Well, this is that one. We do know what that is.
father abandonment issues this whiskey's got.
Oh, it's wildly inoffensive.
That's a sitting whiskey.
And you're finding that strong?
Aye, man.
I see, we're still young, we're still in our infancy. You want to have a whiff?
I'll have a smell.
Have a snootful.
Aye, that's definitely whiskey.
Yeah, it's got real whiskey vibes,
You
isn't it?
practically snorted that there, mate.
Muscle memory kicked in.
Oh, wow.
Rennies.
Oh, muscle memory about snorting drinks. I should stay off the pod, shouldn't it?
Absolutely.
Oh, man.
Spoons of Sambuca and fucking mad.
We done it with tequila one night at a bloody 30 seconds to Mars.
God, that was a terrible idea.
Oh,
Salt in the
no.
eye?
I was going to say, where did you get a spoon from?
No, it was lemon in the eye.
Oh, lemon in the eye. So
Lemon in the eye. Oh no, it was
Salt
horrendous.
in the urethra.
There still is. That's nice, man. I quite like it.
It's nice, aye. You can keep it.
We'll add that to the bottle shortly, and then we'll not do two, but I can hardly even smell it now after that.
Can't smell my name.
you try to place it.
You sure that's whiskey?
I actually think that's a Johnny Walker. See now that I've just smelled that one.
Smells like cold tea.
I'll tell you.
I'll tell you.
Oh,
It's definitely whiskey.
I think it's green label.
I'm gonna get a unofficial opinion here.
That's quite inoffensive.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say that's a Johnny Walker.
I think it's green label.
It is your green label.
I was really hoping you were just going to take that away and just go, aye, that's whiskey.
Put a straw in it. Yes, this is mine.
I'll try it.
Help yourself.
Just gonna find some.
That's quite hot. The back of my throat is on fire.
They've got the fire one as well, haven't they? Actually, the dragon
Sun is a chaser.
fire.
I
Johnny
think
Walker's
there's
one.
four. I think
Aye.
there's 4 Game of Thrones ones that they've done.
Well,
Do you know, funnily enough, this was given to me as a leaving present for a job that I never left 4 years ago.
I remember you doing that actually. We so you've got that one, and then
Never gave back the
there's the
I
full.
offered it back and they said no.
Fair enough.
We've got the full Game of Thrones collection upstairs, bar one bottle. If any people out there that have it want to donate it, it's the Dalwhinnie Winter's Frost that I'm missing.
We are missing.
But yeah, it's not yours yet. But I think we definitely do that one night. We'll do a Game of Thrones night and just crack them open.
I think we'll pick,
and sit and get
the top
absolutely
episodes for every season.
smashed.
We'll just do
Aye.
the highest rated
Just
episodes
all-
for
aye.
every season.
The red wedding, the purple wedding, the green wedding, the orange wedding, and the white wedding.
4 weddings and a funeral.
4 weddings and a.
Whiskies again.
That could be our brand of whiskey. Trademarked.
That's green label, I think. But aye, whiskey. I'll add it into the infinity bottle later. You wire in, mate.
Oh, that's fucking worse than that one. Jesus Christ.
I think that's been in there too long. That's nearly deed.
See, because we've been having nice whiskies that taste like Bell's. Not that Bell's isn't a nice whiskey.
Oh no,
but
it's just off.
after us,
It's
man.
just been in there
Please
too long.
sponsor us, Bells.
That's bad.
Been in there far too long. That's
I love
not.
their
That's
pies,
not
by the
going
way.
in the infinity
Aye.
bottle.
Aye.
Fair enough.
Bell's
Take it.
Bell's pies. It's awful.
Bell's pies, eh?
Did I ever tell you about the guy who used to work with Sandy? Listen, we were when I worked in Quick Fit,
Do you want to
right?
put people's real names on this?
No, I just made it up.
Oh, right, okay.
It's definitely called Sandy. I don't know his last name because it was 20 years ago. But it was when I worked in Quick Fit and with a guy called. He was a nice guy, and he was quite funny. I think he was from Wishaw, and he came in one day and he's literally just sitting at his desk and he just got Bell's palsy at like 11 o'clock during the day, and his face just went. And none of us had ever even heard it. We genuinely thought he did like a stroke or something.
You'd think.
And he was just absolutely. If I remember, I'm sure he went out that night and was drinking and all that, and loads of photos of him steaming. And he's just like
Falling
that. Oh,
And
so
one
funny.
side, not the other. Leanne get Bell's palsy and she was away and it's Christmas Day and our mum just thought,
It's the shitest present ever.
I genuinely, her mum thought she was just being miserable and telling me straight in her face. She Bell's palsy.
Oh, Leanne, my daughter, I'm sorry.
Right, so moving on to the last segment then. So
Yes.
Stefan,
This was your idea. I liked this
yeah,
idea. And then you
yeah,
came in tonight and you were like, "Did Andy manage to do this?" Because I struggled.
Aye,
We seem to have done alright with it. Well, unless I've misunderstood the assignment.
But then we were like, "No, we both done one." And then, but I really struggled. I've only got 4.
I've only picked.
Right, so
one.
explain the premise first of all.
Okay,
and then
so
we'll go down.
the idea is to try and take any movie from any genre and turn it into a horror film by changing the perspective, who's changing the protagonist essentially. Look at that movie from a different point of view and see if it turns it into a horror film.
Okay.
So I'll let one of yous go first if that's alright.
Aye. I don't mind,
Absolutely.
I don't mind going first. I may or may not have misunderstood, but I definitely have something.
Okay.
So the movie that
It's just like the 90s one where I just he was like, pick all the shite 90s movies you like, Pulp Fiction.
So the movie that I picked was Bean, the ultimate disaster movie. And I've turned it into a horror film.
Right.
Oh, there you go.
So the subtext is that Mr. Bean is not a blithering idiot. He is actually hyper intelligent, and he knows exactly what he's doing.
Like that.
So
okay.
he befriends the
Jar Jar Binks is a Sith Lord.
he befriends the art dealer in LA,
Mhm.
and he invites him over. He lives with him, but his ultimate plan is to take over his life. So he murders him and his entire family, assumes his identity, and steals the Whistler's mother painting, and sails off into the sunset.
I think that's a great show.
Okay, yeah, different from what I was going for, but yeah, I like that. That's
I
really
love
good.
that. I love that. I don't know if mine's exactly the way you've just described it a minute ago either, but no, that's really. I love. I want to watch that film. I went. So what I've done is I've took a protagonist from. Well, the idea was a protagonist from another movie and made him the protagonist in this one. So
okay.
I've taken Beauty and the Beast, right, the 1990s cartoon, and I've said, what if the Beast was Kevin from Sin City?
Wow.
And you subvert the whole genre. So Gaston's just a bastard. Like he's the same
No longer
guy.
a Disney film.
Right, oh no, it is not. It is not.
No.
But so like Belle gets to the castle and stuff like that, and it's just Kevin. Like
But everything's in colour apart from him. He's black.
exactly, in black white. Aye.
Never see his eyes.
Aye.
Okay,
That makes that a
that's
fucking
that's
horror
a movie. Yeah, I must not have explained this properly,
Right.
like what I was going for.
So give us your
What-
example
what
and
I
see if
was-
we can think of one off the dome.
Right, so my example, like one of the examples I would give is how the Matrix, if you're not Neo, if you're just one of the people that's still in the Matrix, you can see how that would be a horror film after the end of the first movie. Because if you're one of the people in the street and a guy in a fucking trench coat just suddenly takes off and, okay, now Superman exists in your universe, they kind of establish that everyone's just kind of going about their day-to-day lives and they aren't all controlled by the computers, the machine, sorry, and they can't have their memories erased or anything like that. So you're probably watching the news, a guy flying in the middle of, that is New York, isn't it?
I think it's like
So
dying New York.
a guy flying, that's making the news. How long before it also comes out that was the guy that murdered all the security guards and the entire SWAT team that attacked that building?
All of a sudden you've got a superpowered terrorist.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden everyone you know starts turning into Agent Smith. Just like casually, your dad, just all of a sudden,
Just
he's now
turns out
Agent
Hugo
Smith.
Weaving.
Just all of a sudden, and like
I like that. Definitely
yeah,
definitely
so,
missed that.
yeah. So that was
that's not what I got for what you
No,
what
so
you
it was-
set out.
It was
So
that.
what I'll probably say is what if you were somebody who was stuck in the Matrix 2?
Or you're somebody that had to watch it. I think that's.
totally missed-
Yeah,
missed
I
the
probably
thing.
just didn't. I should have explained it with an example at the time. That's my fault. I'll just know that for next time.
Listen, we all come up with something different, and
Yeah.
I think it would still be fucking.
That was the Matrix one wasn't going to be like my actual one.
that was one of the four that you come up with.
That was one of the
That you
four.
struggled with.
The one that I decided that I wanted to
No
go
one
with.
that you struggled with. You didn't fucking explain. Confused you. Oh, I confused myself. So that video of that guy sneezes, blesses himself, and says thank you.
When Kevin Hart's dad thinks he's surrounded.
I don't know. Right, my actual example was going to be.
Why didn't you just give us the actual
No.
one?
What? I'm just about to give you the actual one. No, not my example. Sorry, my answer.
Right.
Sorry,
the
got
others.
it wrong.
How's it?
It's the Three Musketeers. It's if you look at that story from the perspective of I'll forget the character's name, but it's the wee guy
No, you don't.
that D'Artagnan meets at the start. I can't 100% remember his name, but D'Artagnan's fighting a guy at the start of the film, and he's trying to avenge his sister's honour because D'Artagnan's defiled her, right? And they're in a duel, and he's trying to kill him. And he loses the duel, and then his brother shot, so D'Artagnan runs away. So he chases him, doesn't manage to catch him, and then he finally manages to catch up to him just as D'Artagnan's about to be executed. Right, so that's him. He's buzzing. This guy who's wronged my sister is going to die, and I'm getting to watch it. And all of a sudden, he gets saved. Just like three random guys step in, take out this entire army, and manage to get him out of there. He tries to get involved in the chase, messes it up, and then again shows up at the very end, and this guy, who he has every right to despise, is now been like made into a musketeer, gotten the highest honour from the king, and not only that, when he finally decides, I don't care, I'll gain her honour back, and tries to take him on, all of the musketeers attack 4 guys.
There's nothing horrible about that.
Everything is just the constant. I just wanted to talk about 3 musketeers, and I'm trying to make it work.
That's what I'm laughing at. I can't believe how much you've got to say about fucking 3 musketeers. Imagine how much the Shatler sales of Neo turned up.
Kevin?
I should have done, do you know what? I should have just done it your way and just took a horror
And done what you said to do. You should have just done what I told you to do. Right. I was going to ask you to tell me your other 2. I don't think I can.
I think we've got time.
I don't think I can cope.
No. The other one was going to be Men in Black. If you're the wife who gets her memory wiped, there's like stories and everything. She's going to have
about an Edgar suit.
She's going to have a vague memory of something happened to her husband.
That was an Edgar suit. Just
Edgar suit.
Yeah,
that was
walking about in an Edgar
close.
suit.
Just she gets her memory wiped. Everyone around her didn't. They'll just be telling her, like, remember you were telling everyone that your husband was abducted by aliens. What are you talking about?
Fair enough. Well, listen, thanks everybody for watching.
I took a left turn, man.
No.
Turned into a horror podcast.
End on something a bit better. Is any horror movies coming out you're looking forward to see?
I want to see the new James McAvoy one.
That looks good.
Oh,
Was
yeah.
it Speak Like Us?
Speak No Evil.
Speak No Evil.
It looks
Speak Like Us.
It looks very intense.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
he looks
Probably not
amazing,
horror,
innit?
but we'll go to see Joker on Saturday as well.
Aye.
Joker too.
I'm not really sure what to think of that yet.
It's not doing. I've not heard a lot of great
It's
things
getting
about
utter
it.
and it's really, really struggling in cinema, but it's
Torn
getting
apart.
It's lost
slated.
70 million or something.
Jesus
There you go.
Christ, I wish I
That's
was
not
something.
great.
Sorry, 70 million to lose.
Yeah.
Aye, so we'll go see that. But Speak No Evil, I really want to see that. It looks really, really good.
Yeah.
A while before it comes out, but Nosferatu, you seen the trailer for that?
Looks good.
That
Looks really good.
It looks amazing.
I was very, very surprised they didn't keep Romulus for Halloween.
Yeah, no.
Very surprised at that because it's that horror end of that
If
spectrum.
you remember, that was going to go straight to stream. That wasn't
Yes.
going to get like a
Yeah.
proper release, and then the trailers were doing so well.
It's
They were
absolutely
like,
smashed
we
it.
could actually make proper money off this.
And I'll tell you what, just to finish off on that, genuinely, it's the most excited I've been about an Alien sequel ever.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I can't wait for the next one.
Has it done for Alien what Prey did for Predator?
In my opinion, far, far more, because Predator's still struggling. Alien will go on really, really strong for this, and I would still like to see
Prey was amazing.
I know, but Predator's not. Like, people aren't like, oh my god, I can't wait for the next Predator film. Alien is now very much more on the map than Predator.
I couldn't honestly tell you the last time I said, I can't wait for the next Alien film.
No, that's my point.
Yeah.
That's my point.
But I did say when I watched Prey, I can't wait for the next Predator film.
Yeah,
Aye.
and up until I found out they were going to make it a modern day one again. It's just
Give us a World War II. World War II Predator would be fucking amazing.
Predator versus like Samurai. That's what I want.
That'd be quite good. I think that's
Not
kind
going to
of
work for a World
becoming
War
a
II
thing
film,
now.
to be honest, but
On that bombshell. Thank you guys.
yes.
I really enjoyed it as always.
Yep.
Same.
I think there was some highlights in there. I think we're going to need to edit a couple of bits out.
Yeah, just take out that whole bit.
Strangling
the Three
5-year-olds and
Musketeers.
stuff. It's-
No, the Three Musketeers is still, I mean, this is becoming somewhat symbolic of the entire pod.
Yeah.
Well, guys, absolute pleasure as always. Really, really enjoyed that.
Thanks for
Same.
having us.
You're very welcome.
Can't believe you drank all your juice.
You're having us. I can't believe that whiskey's went off. But no, listen, absolute pleasure. Really, really enjoyed that. As I'd said, it's not my favourite genre, but there's some absolute highlights in there. I think we did quite a good job of putting together some definitive lists, and there's definitely some hot takes in that. If ever this was at a stage where people were commenting on it, not having Psycho on the greatest list,
We're
I
not
think would
making
be
the
bonkers.
IMDb greatest list. It's our
Nah.
list. It's,
Yeah, exactly.
Agreed.
it's a bit rogue. It's a bit off. It's not just all
Agreed.
about classics and stuff.
I had
like that.
Spider-Man 2 in there,
And exactly, Spider-Man 2 made it into a horror podcast.
as did the Three Musketeers
I
again.
know, he's fucking at it.
Yeah, he's right at the wind
So-
up now. He started with ambience.
Like we say, we're still waiting on you guys to give us the fifth in the list
I know,
for
hurry up.
each area.
Yeah.
So we'll look forward to getting naming it at some point.
Yep. Mates Movies Malts on all the socials. There's nothing on there just yet, but there will be
There
soon.
will be.
As we said, this is a bit of a sneak preview. After this, the next one will be kind of Christmas time, and then we'll be hopefully putting stuff out weekly, fortnightly, and hopefully it's something that people might quite enjoy watching.
Fingers crossed.
Let's hope so.
No, but even if you don't, I really do.
And enjoy it.
Love it. Cheers,
Thank
guys.
you. Good
Very
night.
much.